Think we're going live on YouTube now. Let's go ahead and get started and record on Zoom. And we should be going live now. All right, let me get that. All right. Hello on Facebook, hello on YouTube, and hello, Patty, who's joining me on Zoom. Welcome to another installment of Get a Clue in 52. This is tip number 46. It's Sunday night, the 46th Sunday of the year. 46 plus 52. It's 96 by my count. Consecutive weeks in a row. We started doing these tips every Sunday night in the first week of January in 2020. 5 categories, 10 tips in each except marketing. That has 2 extra categories. This year, we're doing it all over again, and we're almost done. After tonight, just 6 tips left. Oh, my goodness. And the categories are communication, networking, marketing, sales, and accountability. And we're in the accountability section right now. It's tip number 46 overall, but number 4 in the accountability section. And let me go ahead and read. I like to summarize the first couple of tips, and then I'll read tonight's tip, and then we'll get into some group interaction. For those of you that are watching on the Zoom side, on the Facebook side, if you want to interact live after I'm done with the tip reading, just type in www.tinyurl.com/getaklu, GETAKLU. Hello, Charlie. I see that you've come on board. Hello to Patty, as again joining me on the Zoom side. For anybody that's watching a recording of this in the future, thank you for checking it out. Hopefully that there's going to be some value here. And accountability is just one of my favorite things. Changed my life when I learned accountability. Up-leveled my life when I learned to hold self and others accountable. I love teaching accountability, and it's a treat to put 10 of my favorite accountability tips into the book. So let me go ahead and do a review from the second edition of Get a Clue in 52. Accountability section starts on page 101 with this fun little quote: "Nothing is insurmountable when I'm hugging you accountable." I believe in hugging, not holding, hugging, Some people go for the jugular. I go for the hugular. Then I'll go ahead and read this quote. I don't know if I've done this yet, but I'll say this. "It would be easy to understand and deliver accountability as bad cop coaching. However, a world-class accountability coach delivers accountability with permission first and love always." That's a quote. I'm quoting myself there. Then Mahatma Gandhi, "It is wrong and immoral to seek to escape the consequence of one's acts." Yeah. All right. Let me say hello to Josue. I see you out there. All right, man. Nice of you to join in. Keep the comments rolling. If you want to interact with us live, come on into tinyurl.com/getaklu, and you can join on the Zoom side and interact a little bit. But thanks for showing up. I see you out there, man. Thank you. All right. So in the accountability section, tip number 1, and this is really important because tonight in tip number 4, it's going to be symmetrical or bookend, if you will, unit duality. Based on tip number 1, all of the tips, they interrelate and they interact and they integrate, but pay attention. Tip number 1, we start to look within, right? Tip number 1, don't even begin to do anything having to do with anything about accountability unless you're ready to look within first. Most people only talk about accountability when they're accusing somebody else of needing more or not having any, or the problem is lack of accountability. And it's always outwardly directed. It's like an accusation. In my experience, people fail to look within, and everybody knows how to pronounce accountability, but I'm telling you, that doesn't mean that you know how to hold yourself or others accountable. Most people, if I ask them, how would you teach somebody how to hold somebody accountable? But those people are very quick to accuse others of not having any. So look within first. Don't do anything about accountability unless you're ready to look within. Look within, right? That's a little preview for tonight's tip. But the second tip in accountability is one of my favorites in the whole book. Charlie, you're going to laugh because I say that about so many of these tips. But understand integrity. And it's special because in the second edition of the book, I have a preview chapter called The Integrity Game. It's the book I'm working on right now. I'm so close to having the integrity game finished. 11 chapters are fully drafted, and all of the workings of the 12th chapter and potentially an afterword written by me in my voice rather than the parable voice of the story. It's a business parable. So we're making up a story, a setting, characters, in order to advance and share in a full book form rather than just the tip, the 10 things I cover in just tip number 2 right here. So tip number 2 is really a really good preview or summary of the book I'm working on right now that I hope to have ready for the new year. Understand integrity, the 10 things that we want to integrate, that we want coming closer together. Understand integrity as a function of integration. If I asked 1 million people, what's the definition of integrity? Not one person would say integration, the coming together of one thing with another. They'd say be your word or do the same thing you would do when nobody's watching than that you would when somebody's watching, but they wouldn't say integrity is the coming together of one thing with another. So I really want people focused on integration as part of the definition of integrity. And then what do we want to bring together? What are the things that we as people and professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, community members, family members, what are the things that we do want to bring together, closer together? What do we want to integrate? And my second tip, understand integrity, goes over a 10-point model that is going to be something I'm talking about every day of my life for the rest of my life, is the integrity game. It's the new brand. It's what I'm working on right now, and I'm really proud of it. Okay, moving on. Tip number 3 then, at first you look within, then you understand integrity, and on the 10-point model, goal setting is one of the 10 points. It's such an important point in the model that it gets its own tip in this book. So tip number 3 that we discussed last week was get smart about goal setting, SMAART, which is my take on the SMART goal setting model, where I added an A, changed the R to make sure there's motivation and accountability that coaches can work with. I mean, if your goal is predictable, you don't need a coach. You really need a coach when your goal requires you to change behavior. So we added an A to make it ambitious, to understand where the behavioral change is going to be. And then we changed the R from realistic, which is covered with achievable, to reason or reward, to get really clear on the why. Why do you want to achieve the goal? If you got one reason for wanting something, you might get around to it. If you've got 6 very clear reasons for wanting something, you could be unstoppable. And if anybody else other than you knows what you want, knows why you want it, knows all 6 reasons why you want it, then you can really be held accountable, right? And so that takes us to tip number 4. Remember, tip number 1 was to look within. Tip number 4 tonight is look outside. So let's review. We look within, we understand integrity, we set goals. Now it's time for us to look outside, not for other people that we can accuse of being out of integrity or other people that we can accuse of needing more accountability. We look outside for our own external accountability sources. Let me go ahead and read word for word, get a clue in 52. Tip number 4 in the accountability section, page 114. Here we go. In accountability tip number 1, we asked you to look within and find whatever humility or courage or desperation or desire it will take to be willing to be held accountable. Now, in tip number 4, we are suggesting you look outside yourself for that accountability. This tip, or all of my top 10 tips, or even a certificate of completion for my coaching leadership training, will make you better at holding yourself accountable, but none of us will ever be as good at it as someone else will. And let me be clear that I mean someone trained with the tools, techniques, skill sets, and experience to hold you accountable. Here we go. Many people try to turn their friends into accountability partners because it sounds good in the moment or because they don't want to pay for coaching. These arrangements rarely last because, in bullet point form now, 1, neither of you have skin in the game, money invested, which means both of you are likely to cancel, postpone, or delay your accountabilities, believing there is no immediate consequence. 2, or secondly, it's bullet point list. It's not numbered 2. Anyway, the social graces of friendship are in conflict with the demands of confrontation and accountability. Neither of you are conditioned to upset each other or risk the friendship with any firm position on an issue or confrontation on a behavior. If a friend says, I can't do it today, the other friend is way more likely to just say, okay, than to confront the why of not doing and truly hold the person accountable to the viability of breaking their commitment. Mere friends are not, that should be trained. Mere friends are not trained to handle the accountability side of that, only the keep the friendship side. Trained, note made. I'm still taking notes on the errors that are in here, but I don't know if I'm going to do a third edition of this book. I think the third edition is going to have 5 new categories, 52 brand new tips. There's not enough typos to correct to justify a third edition with all the same tips. So we're moving on. All right, I digress. All right, the third bullet point here. Friends may love you, but love alone does not qualify someone to effectively hold another accountable. I say that as someone who went through countless hours of accountability training and practice with my own clients and coaches. In the Get a Clue approach to accountability, love is necessary, but not sufficient. Charlie, that's it. That's tonight's Clue snack right there. Right. And you can substitute Get a Clue for integrity game or world-class coaching, whatever. The prefix doesn't really matter. In the Get a Clue approach to accountability, love is necessary, but not sufficient. Okay, next. So it's not just look outside for external accountability, but make sure you are looking for a trained, skilled, experienced, or dare I say, professional source of accountability. I'm going to show this right here. I love this graphic, how we're living at the corner of accountability and communication streets. One of my favorite little pictures right there. And that's it. That's the tip. So to summarize, what we're getting at is we start by looking within. We understand integrity on a macro level. Then we get clear on what our goals are. And after that, it's time to look outside. It's time to put ourselves in a position to let somebody else hold us accountable, and not just anyone. Anyone's better than yourself alone. Anyone's better than no one. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying, that having a friend, be an accountability partner, if you're tight on cash flow and don't want to invest in a coach, understand there's coaching programs out there that'll coach pro bono. If you demonstrate hardship, or it's just, like for me, I do a lot of free coaching throughout the year. I always do 2 complimentary sessions before I enroll anybody, but there's a lot of situations, programs, projects I'll take on for free. I was researching other coaches, and this one woman that I was researching today, she has like a pay it forward program to make sure that the idea is this: money should not be a barrier to getting external accountability coaching, right? Don't ever think that I can't afford it. If you believe that you need it and will benefit from it and search for it, it's out there for you. You call me, right? Don't ever let, it sometimes only takes one session to get people out of their way, by the way, and make a difference in somebody's life. So don't ever believe that coaching is not for you and accountability is not for you and you can't afford it, don't understand it, don't need it. I'll just have a friend do it. None of that's true. Do what it takes to put yourself in front of professionally trained coaches that know what they're doing when it comes to accountability. And it might be one of the biggest decisions you've ever made in your life. It might be one of the most life-changing things you've ever done. All right. Having said that, let me go ahead and I'm going to turn the Facebook thing around and invite Patty and Charlie, who have joined me live, to interact and ask any questions that you may have on a Sunday night. And I'm going to be patient with me to get the audio going here. Let me turn the camera around. There's Patty and Charlie. All right. Can you guys hear me? All right. Let me go ahead and just refresh my. Good. And testing 1, 2.
3.
There we go. All right. That's better, guys. Hello. Oop. I don't know why they want me to do that. Okay.
Coach Jeff.
All right, so welcome to another installment, you guys. Get a Clue in 52. That was tip number 4 on accountability, 46 overall. So what's going on? What can I do for you guys tonight? And thanks to anybody that's watching on Facebook. I see Josue and all of those comments. Need to drop the new book, and there you go, dropping the soft skills and hugging. Yeah, all of that. Thanks, Josue. All right, Patty, Charlie, what do you guys got tonight? What can I do for you guys?
No, Coach Jeff, it's just so profound
that you mentioned accountability and the Klu snack that love is necessary but not sufficient.
Yeah.
So, it gets to where as much as you love somebody and you'd like to see them succeed and where you want to help them out, there's always that element, as the tip says, where if they don't do something, you don't, because you want to keep that relationship and keep the love go and get the love back, you don't really get to the real nitty gritty. But then again, also going to the hugular side, sometimes we might need to use a little bit of tough love, but then with a bit of the hugular, not go for the jugular, take the heads off and stuff.
Well, yeah, so, we're gonna real quick. We're gonna talk about the grace, the delivery when it comes to accountability a little bit later on. We're inching our way there. Right now, we're focused on look outside, understand the importance of an external accountability source, and the word for word that I read in the book. You could come away from that thinking that I don't believe in accountability partners. I do. It's not that I don't believe in it. Anything's better than nothing. But what I'm saying is, first, understand that we want to look externally for accountability. And then two, even better if that person is trained in accountability. They have structures, frameworks, techniques, experience, some sort of certification, competency. Right. There's a lot of people I hear out there saying, oh, I've got an accountability partner. I just laugh to myself, thinking, oh, really? Yeah. Oh, where were they trained? Tell me about their coach's training and how do they hold you accountable? And what happens when you say something, you're going to do something and then you show up and you don't do it? And then but I don't ask because I know what answers I'm going to get. Let me quickly say hello to my man, Michael James, out there watching on the Facebook side. I might run out of battery on this old phone. I've got it replaced. I got the new iPhone. But it's got got the new iPhone, but I'm still using the old one because it works like an iPad. Anyway, we're doing Get a Klu in 52, and I got 20% left on the battery on this, so we'll keep going on Facebook side. Charlie, do you have a question or an anecdote or anything else before I ask if Patty's got something for us?
No, let Patty go, Coach Jeff.
I'm sorry.
I'm done.
That's it.
Well, partly done.
Yeah, I don't. First of all, I don't believe you. I think you're going to come up with something else before we're through tonight. But let's see what Patty has to say.
Well, I did underline the part about how it's really important it's best if you have someone who's trained in understanding how to, for example, interrupt your stories, because I spent the weekend listening to several people, and they went so often into their story, and I realized that no one's ever said to them, hey, let's stop talking about the story, let's go to what you're really getting to.
Well, most people aren't trained,
exactly. That's my point. And I really appreciated this weekend, knowing that I have been getting training in the coaching that you have, taught me. And I'm just, it's interesting that this was the point that came up tonight, because I just drove back like 8 hours. And so I'm a little tired.
But you had the experience of it. You're watching it happen around you, right? Mm-hmm. And quickly, let me say hello. I've seen Monique Castro, one of the great moms in our community. Spent the whole day with her yesterday. I see you out there on the Facebook side. Hello. Our kids are in soccer together, so she's jumping on to check it out. We're in Get a Klu in 52. It's tip number 46 overall. Tip number 4 from the accountability section. Tonight's tip is to look outside for external accountability sources. Tip number 1 is look within. Tip number 2 is understand integrity. Tip number 3 is goal setting, and now you're ready to look outside. Right? If you're ready to be 100% responsible, if you understand the model of integrity, if you've set specific goals, now you're ready to say, hey, can you hold me accountable to this? Can I give you permission to ask me what I'm doing, when I'm doing it? Why am I doing it? What's the best step on it? And I can get into the how of the accountability. And it's not just interrupting stories.
No, but that is one.
It's getting permission to interrupt them.
Right.
and interrupting them gracefully, having a lot of opportunity or a lot of different choices on how you're going to interrupt, being transparent about why you interrupted, and then being successful in shifting them into the action oriented or the behavioral, so I'm just being brief about how much there is to learn about accountability. I feel like, it seems like it's just like there's things that people take for granted, right? People think that they understand parenting because they can pronounce it, or because people think they understand parenting because they had parents, but you'll never understand parenting until you've been a parent. And even when you're a parent, you don't understand parenting, right? But people think that they're good communicators because they can talk and they can hear.
Right.
That doesn't mean
When
that
I took teachers training, that's what they said. You're going to meet all these people that think they know what teaching is because they've been in a classroom
yeah,
as a student, but they haven't been a teacher, and that's a whole different thing.
yeah. So the same is true with accountability. I go back to this overarching point. Accountability is the thing that people usually accuse others of not being good at or needing more of. So again, to review the 4 tips in the section so far, we want to look within, understand a complete model of integrity. We want to be accountable for setting goals, having specific measurable things that we're trying to achieve on a quarterly basis. Now we're ready to look outside and bring other people into our world, share. And by the way, external accountability, again, anybody's better than nobody, except not always. Let me backtrack on that. Don't ever share your goals, Charlie. Well, you could write this down as a Kluby snack if you want to, but here's it's just advice. Don't ever share your goals with somebody who's not themselves a goal setter, or who isn't absolutely as or more excited about your goals than you are. Okay. Ego defense. If you go and you share, if you're interacting with an underachiever, somebody that's lazy, procrastinator, underfulfilled, underachieved, self-destructive, and we're all a little bit of that, but I mean like somebody that's a lot of that, somebody that's not ambitious, not setting goals, not trying to better their life every day, and you go and you say, hey, look, I'm going to try to do this thing that's going to require me to change behavior. Subconsciously, right, they're going to take that personally, and they don't even, without even knowing it, they're going to try to be, oh, what makes you think you can do that? Or they'll be afraid, like, oh, does that mean we're not going to go bowling on Thursdays anymore? Or, what does that say about me? And they don't even realize all that's going on in the back of their head. So they'll sabotage and poo-poo and fail to support you. Like, just don't do it. Don't share goals with anybody who's not themselves a goal setter or really excited about you achieving your goals. All right, I digress. Get a Clue in 52 is rolling. 22 minutes in. We've reviewed the first 3 tips. We've read tonight's tip word for word, and now we're discussing it. Look outside for external accountability sources, all the better if they're trained and know exactly what they're doing. Even if they don't know exactly what they're doing, just better if they're trained. I don't care about the exactness of it. I just want people to understand that accountability training is out there. It's available. I have gotten it. I deliver it. I think I'm really good at delivering it, teaching other people how to deliver it. Patty, you're nodding your head right now. You seem grateful for what you've learned on accountability training that we've been through together. And it's a tip I'm proud of promoting out there. Anything else? Let me ask you guys, any other comments or questions from you guys about any of the tips in the book at all, or anything about accountability, or anything that we've discussed, or anything I can help you with?
It's late.
Oh, well, it sounds like you're really tired and had a long drive today. Patty, I'm honored that you're on. If you were driving 8 hours today and still decided to come on, get a Clue in 52, and it's like 10, almost 10:30 at night for you, it humbles me. Thank you. Charlie, anything else?
No, Coach Jeff, I just like the part where you mentioned that don't ever share your goals with someone that is not a goal setter or gets excited about your goals. I think one part of it sort of indirectly gets to, if they're excited about your goals, they can automatically be holding you accountable unconsciously in one way or another, because they will keep asking you, how far are you with this? What your progress is and so forth, because they actually want to see you succeed at whatever goals you have set or discussed with them as well.
Yeah, there's you know, like, I don't know if there's a continuum between, you know, like, it just starts with sharing with somebody else what you're doing. Once you share with somebody else what you're doing or want to do, whether they actually hold you accountable or not, you know, somewhere in your head, you know that they always could. They can always ask you, hey, how you doing on that?
Exactly.
And so whether they do anything or not, just letting the universe know, letting the world know, letting somebody know. Like, it is the same thing when we do our when we get into granular accountability. Right now we're at like almost like conceptual accountability. We're going to get into granular transactional accountability as we sprint to the finish line this year with the rest of the tips. But you know, it's what did I want to say there? The concept of granular accountability is like the daily win emails. When we talk about daily win emails or the power hour, which I'm going to do after I get off the phone with you guys, I'm going to look at my week calendar view, and I'm going to renegotiate the appointments and look at my roles and goals and start to visualize where are the open spots in my calendar and what appointments do I want to make with myself to get things done. And is there anything on my calendar that really sounded good at the time but doesn't make sense this week given what I'm really trying to do, and how do I reshuffle the priorities and really visualize and set myself up for the week. And then when I do daily win emails on a daily basis, it's not because my coach that I send them to is going to ask me about everything I put in my daily win list, right? The value is that I know that she could, and that up levels my proactivity. You know, if I want to take a break or if I want to go take a nap on the couch, I'll catch myself and I'll look at the list and I'll say, no, can I power through? Is there anything else I can get done right now? And it just keeps me on my game. It keeps me just a little bit more productive than I would be otherwise. If I didn't feel or know that somebody could ask me about my productivity, I would be less productive. As a matter of fact, that's a pretty cool snack right there, Charlie. If I didn't know or believe that someone could ask me about my productivity, I'm guaranteed to be less productive. You could play with that if you want. The other way to say it is, when I know somebody can ask me about my productivity, I'm guaranteed to be more productive. As simple as that sounds, isn't that profound? Yet people avoid accountability like the plague. There's people that are literally walking around their life every single day to avoid being vulnerable, being accountable, being counted, being confronted, etc. So a lot of people seek friends and acquaintances and peer groups that will enable them, you know, and even though I teach this, I'm not saying I'm any different. I'm a human being too, right? But, you know, we want to get better every day. That's what it's about. It's not about being perfect. It's about getting better every day. And it's hard to do that unless we have external accountability sources, which is what tip number 4 in the accountability section is all about, is look outside for accountability. Get a clue in 52, 46 tips we've covered so far, 6 remaining. I might have a special guest or 2 in the upcoming weeks. I got a really beautiful phone call from a really amazing woman. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. She said, Jeff, I saw you put something out there about looking for guests, and what's that all about? And we talked, and I gave her all the information, and all I'm waiting for her is to reply to me and to give me the bullet points of, you know, the promo graphic that a picture and some bullet points, and pick which week she wants to do. And I'm not going to tell you who it is. This is one of my favorite people on the planet. So if I can get her on board, it's going to be a treat for all of us. But she just called me. Like I talked to her last week. It's so good to hear her voice. It'd been a little bit. She's got the biggest heart in the world. I close my eyes and I see her face and I light up. She's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to introduce you guys. So anyway, that's one that I've got in the works. We have time, 6 weeks. We have time to get 1 or 2 special guests before the end of the year is out. Anything else for tonight? Last call, 8:29 p.m. Get a clue in 52. Patty needs to go to sleep. So last call, Charlie.
All good, Coach Jeff. Just again, gratitude and thank you very much for bringing us on here and sharing your insights and perspectives. And again, it's good Monday morning mind feed for me I actually enjoy it. It gets me all set up for the week. And one of the tips that I also quite learned from you was that accountability emails, even if you don't send them to anybody, send them to your other email address. At least you will then read them and then review and check on them as well.
Yeah, depending on how spiritual you are, the universe is always watching, and so just just typing it up, even if you just send it to yourself, you've made it real. You put yourself in a position to check yourself. So, but that's self-accountability. If you actually include somebody else on that email, now it's external accountability. So, all right, you guys, anything else for tonight before we seal it with a kiss? All right. Oh, somewhere handy. All right, that's that version number 1. I love seeing it. All right, you guys, thanks for coming on board. As always, I love you guys. Mwah. Mwah. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Have a great week, Coach Jeff and Patty. Have some good rest.